All right, so you can tell from title. Is it wise for Minnesota to even sign an offensive lineman? So if we just go by what they currently have at left tackle, you have Reef, Cleveland, Rashad Hill kind of plays that swing tackle role. Aviant Collins comes back, and maybe Brandel from this past draft. Maybe he is another swing tackle option here. At left guard, you have Elfline, Dozier, maybe Brett Jones. Collins again. He has played some left guard in the preseason, and then Reef kind of has that weird little question mark at left guard. Center, Bradbury, obviously. Brett Jones again, because he is the backup center for most of the time here so far. And then you have the 7th round draft pick in Hinton, who they said, who they said actually has more of a plan to put him at center than they do at guard, which is odd. But yeah, right guard Samia Dozier, he played both sides last year a little bit. Maybe Udo shifts in to right guard. I'm not entirely sure. I could see him moving to guard. Hard to see him moving into left guard just because, shifting from the right side to the left side is a challenge in itself, let alone switching positions to a player that needed to clearly get better at his right tackle position. Which brings me to right tackle, which is, obviously O'Neal, Rashad Hill, you have Udo again, then Brandel once again. So, and I've put this into free agents who I think are probably the most intriguing to most people, I would think, just based on experience and or name. At left tackle, Kelvin Beachum, he started a number of years, both in Jacksonville and with the Jets, former Steeler as well. Jason Peters obviously will stick out to a lot, but I'm thinking they probably won't sign a left tackle just because they did draft Ezra Cleveland in the 2nd round, so I think left tackles are out. At left guard, you have Osemele. Leary has played left guard, and Klein also has played left guard back in his days with the Patriots. Now, Osemele doesn't fit this scheme at all, and I know some people will look at that name and be like, go get him. Well, he doesn't fit the scheme. The reason why he's no longer a Raider is because John Gruden wanted a similar scheme to this, and he wasn't good enough for it. So, Osemele's probably off the board, plus he has an injury history. Well, I guess last year's injury with the torn labrum situation with the Jets, which was completely weird. Leary is another player that's played both left and right guard. He played right guard with Kubiak back in Denver, but he's old and he's had injuries, so you don't know. And then Klein, who knows about that bridge there. At center, you have Justin Britt, Shipley. Mike Person has played some center as well as right guard. I can't see them going after a pure center just because they already do have Bradbury. I don't think they would bring in anyone who could take that job from him just because you stunt development from your 1st round pick. So probably not the best move to go there. Shipley, if they wanted a veteran who isn't Jones for some reason behind Bradbury, they could look at that. Person is probably the most likely out of those because he's also played right guard, and he's a pure zone fit. So there's also that. Then right guard, it's already 3 guys we've talked about here with Leary, Klein, and Mike Person. So, and then right tackle, the only one I really saw of interest is DeMar Dotson, but I think we can all agree right tackle is something they wouldn't even dare look at because of O'Neal. So, excuse me again there. Klein and Person are personally the only ones that I can see them having any real interest in just because of 1, versatility, 2, scheme fit. And you also have the contract thing, which is both of them should be cheap. And, that's kind of beneficial to the situation Minnesota's in. And like I said before, Klein, we don't know how much of that bridge has been burned. So is a return possible? I'm not entirely sure. And Person, pure zone scheme fit lineman who has followed Kyle Shanahan around for a couple of years now and has played fairly decent in these years, and he's played mostly right guard. So you could look at that, but if you have faith in Samia is not 31 years old or, doesn't have those issues, and probably a little cheaper just because of the rookie contract. And personally, I think the most likely lineup we see week 1 is probably Ezra at left tackle, Riley Reef at left guard, Bradbury at center, Samia at right guard, and O'Neal at right tackle. And I know a lot of people think Samia is going to be a problem. I really, really don't. When they first drafted Drew Samia there, I thought that was a perfect fit. That was one of the guys I was like, well, you got to come away with that guy if we're going to this system. I had Bradbury and Samia kind of tabbed as those with that offensive line in terms of overhauling it here. And because he's just a perfect fit for this offense, and he just needed to get stronger, much like O'Neal did. So now in his second year, he should be able to replace what was a super average player in Josh Klein. I know some will probably think, well, he looked better than most of the guards we've had in the past, which is true, but they've also been horrible. So, in comparison to Tom Compton and Mike Remmers, yeah, Klein looked like an all-pro, but that's not what this is. I think he's ultimately a super average guard, and probably is more so on the decline than he is on the uprising, where Samia you have cheap and should be pointed up. So I think we're more likely to see Samia at right guard, and I think we need to stop this whole Ezra Cleveland to the left guard thing. That's not going to work. He is just not built for that. I know, people look at, well, he's 3'11" and had 30 bench reps, but that does not reflect how he's played on the field. He does need to get stronger, because you'll see him consistently get beat from power. You can tell he needs to get a little stronger. But what he does have is he will win through athleticism and just pure movement. He will never get beat by that. Rarely does it happen. The only way it really happens is when he starts to guess, and that's more of an inside counter thing with him. He likes to kind of go too far outside, and they'll get him inside. But power will kill him. So I don't think putting him on the inside, where you have a division like ours here, where you have to block Eddie Goldman, you have to block Akeem Hicks, you have to block Kenny Clark, you have to block Danny Shelton, you have to block these huge guys. I don't think putting a guy whose weakness is power is really the best thing. Put him on the edge where he can use his athleticism, and Reef is a much better fit into left guard with or without a restructuring of the contract. Right now, as far as things are concerned, Riley Reef is probably the best option at left guard, bar none. And that's even considering if it's not even that great of a thing, because I would assume, regardless, he's going to be a better pass protector than Elflein. So that's where the main concern is to me. And I'm just thinking there just isn't anyone else, unless you want to go sign a guy like Leary, who once again is 31 and hasn't played a full season since 2013, which a lot of people are kind of harping on. Well, it's a good thing we didn't get Trent Williams because he hasn't played in 7 years, basically. He hasn't played a full season that long. Ron Leary hasn't either. So if we're going to use that for Trent Williams, we should definitely use that for Ronald Leary. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. I don't think they should sign one, because personally I feel like all the guys we have right now, one way or another, will probably beat out any of these players, with the only two real options being Mike Person and Josh Klein. And those might be the only ones that have a real legit shot at winning a starting job here. Which is weird because, and it's not saying this line oh no, it's perfect. It's not. It is not perfect. I would love to add to it. I'm just not seeing a player to add to it that betters this, as opposed to just cluttering and, just having this cluster. So I'd like to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Like and subscribing, super helpful. And until next time, I bid y'all adieu.